Hey, Tim Frisch with A Frisch Perspective here. That video was posted by Dave Rubin on Twitter, and this was after the Lakers won the championship in the NBA, and he put with this video, reminder, you can't go to church or temple, eat indoors, or go to the gym in Los Angeles. And yet there's all these people out here celebrating the Lakers' victory. Babylon B had a really good, funny take on this. LA mayor allows large religious gathering outside Staples Center. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, having opposed large religious gatherings in his city for the past 7 months, has suddenly reversed course, allowing a large worship service to take place in the streets of the city last night. Despite the ban on religious gatherings, the worshipers came together to honor their God, LeBron James, in a spontaneous outpouring of love and praise. Worshippers in this religion, rather than singing songs or saying prayers, topple cars and throw things at the police. We will make an exception for this group of devout worshippers, said Garcetti. When I hear their hymns of praise, shouting things like, burn it all down and Lakers, woo! I'm reminded of the great religious history of this city, and I am moved. The worshippers were not socially distancing or wearing masks for the most part, but strangely did not draw the ire of media outlets, who usually comment on such things. No, this is actually beautiful, said a teary-eyed Jim Acosta. I love to see worshippers worshiping their gods, as long as they are worshiping the correct gods. So that was the Babylon Bee, a Christian satire site, just taking jabs at a situation like they usually do. But the real situation, a couple articles here, says 76 arrests as fans, some rowdy, cheer Lakers win in LA. Los Angeles, 76 people were arrested and more than 30 buildings and businesses were damaged when a downtown celebration turned chaotic after the Los Angeles Lakers won their 17th National Basketball Association championship, police said Monday. Causes for the arrest included failure to disperse, vandalism, and assault on a police officer. 8 officers were treated for injuries and 3 members of the crowd were taken to hospitals after being injured by so-called less lethal munitions fired by officers, a police statement said. The celebration by about 1,000 people was initially largely peaceful, but unruly individuals mixed into the crowd and threw glass, bottles, rocks, and other projectiles at officers, police said. So one of the buzz lines for the year 2020 is the phrase mostly peaceful. What does that even mean today? It seems like we keep hearing about mostly peaceful, and yet it always turns into violence. But in fairness to the mayor, I know that Babylon Bee was teasing him, but it does say in the New York Post that before the game, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti had joined police in begging fans to stay home and not head downtown. As we cheer our Lakers' 17th championship, please remember it's still not safe to gather in groups, the mayor tweeted, in reference to the coronavirus pandemic. Let's honor our city's triumph by protecting others and making sure we don't spread the virus. Please celebrate safely at home. Do not gather at the Staples Center. Thank you. So Mayor Garcetti did not actually want people to meet. He wasn't technically allowing people to meet, so I want to make that clear. However, one thing you do see is the inconsistency of people, that you have so many people saying we shouldn't gather, and yet there are people gathering for something like this in a really large crowd. And there were definitely people there who didn't have masks on and were shouting and were doing things that would be considered unsafe, according to what the government guidelines are telling us. But one thing that the Babylon Bee hits on that I do think has some truth in it is the lack of attention that things like this get, especially in a negative way from the media. Now, I don't know, maybe the media did cover this and say some negative things, but it does seem like often there's a defense of people that are gathering outside for certain kinds of protests, but Christians that gather a lot of times get negative attention from the media. So I think there's some truth in what the Babylon Bee is pointing out there regarding the media kind of turning a blind eye to certain kinds of gathering. But if they're really dangerous, they're dangerous no matter who is gathering. And again, getting back to Dave Rubin's tweet, he says, reminder, you can't go to church or temple, eat indoors, or go to the gym in Los Angeles, and yet there's all these people gathering in a large crowd. So it's really, really important that governments are consistent and That's one of the issues that John MacArthur has been bringing up, is the inconsistency. And not just John MacArthur, other pastors too. Even Mark Dever has talked about inconsistency in how the government is handling the coronavirus situation. So congratulations to any LA Lakers fans out there, but I thought this was a really interesting story. I'd love to hear what you think about all of this in the comments below, but please try to keep your comments positive and helpful to discussion. But thank you so much for listening to what I have to say from A Frisch Perspective.